Hello, James Smith from In This Corner, reporting for Fight Now TV, still at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. It's been a long night, and it was a really long night for the 23-year-old redhead, Saul Canelo Alvarez, who was just blitzed by Floyd Money Mayweather tonight. Mayweather improves to 45-0 with what I had a shutout performance. Just fantastic. And normally Floyd would be joining me after the fight, but as you can see, he's not here because I picked against him. For the first time in 6 years, I picked against Floyd Mayweather. The last time was when he fought Oscar De La Hoya. At least that one was close. So Floyd told me after the fight he's punishing me, and I have to wait and go to his gym here in Las Vegas, and then I can talk to him. But we did catch up with some other notables who had a lot of praise for Money.
I want to commend this young, strong champion because he will carry the torch. Tonight, experience played a major key. Canelo got everything it takes to be a legend in the sport. Tonight was just my night. I'm truly blessed to be where I'm at. I have a good team, and like I always say, it took hard work and dedication, prayers, and belief. And I want to thank everybody that came out to support Canelo. I want to thank the country of Mexico for supporting Canelo. I want to thank the fans that flew from around the world to come cover this fight. It's been truly an amazing ride. And what else can I say? We did it again.
With Super Judah, Zab Judah, let's first off talk about the main event and you and your homeboy Floyd Mayweather. His performance, I thought, was spectacular.
I think tonight Mayweather put on an excellent display of boxing ability. You know what I mean? He showed the world that he's as fast as they say he is. His defense is that good. And, you know, he put together great combinations, and he did everything tonight that he had to do. You know what I mean? And he pulled off an excellent fight.
Do you think it helped him? I do, that he was active. I mean, this was 4 months after the last fight. He's back. I know he has a way of fighting one time a year and looking great, but don't you think that being active even made him a more sharper fighter?
Yeah, I think, you know what I'm saying, tonight we seen, God, everything was on point. The jab was phenomenal. I mean, he hit Canelo with hard, solid, back to back. I was going to ask Canelo, like, where's your defense at? Like, hey, you know what I mean? But he couldn't get out the way of no punches tonight. Floyd landing right hands. I even see Floyd throwing some uppercuts in there. You know what I mean? It was pretty good, you know what I mean? So, you know, but like I said, I mean, Floyd's exhibition of what I call it an exhibition because that's exactly what it looked like there tonight, you know what I mean? It's like a pay-for gym session.
What can Canelo take from this positive? What can Canelo do, to come out of this? Obviously, it's $12 million, but what can he take from this? Well, you think he learned a lot from this fight, even though he was shut out?
The best thing I say Canelo learned was he made $1 million per round. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I wouldn't mind getting beat for $1 million per round. You know what I mean? So, but you know what I mean? You know, he's a young guy. He's the Mexican star, so I'm pretty sure Golden Boy, they're gonna bring him back and put him in some more big incitement fights, but he can't do it for Floyd.
Steve, yet another masterful Floyd Mayweather performance.
Well, those who are waiting for him to start acting his age are waiting a long time. Smitty, he'll be 37 the next time he gets in the ring. And, you know, I was looking at the press conference today, seeing Bernard Hopkins behind him. Now, I don't expect Floyd Mayweather to be around when he's 48 years old like Hopkins. But you do have to wonder at this point, based on the Guerrero fight and this fight, when is this guy going to slow down? How old will he be when he starts slowing down?
These two, those two have so much in common in terms of the old school way they train, prepare themselves, and take care, of their bodies.
That's a great point. And the other thing they have in common inside the ring is they consistently make really good fighters fight their fight. Floyd always gets his opponents to throw fewer punches than they normally do. They land a lower percentage, and he lands a very high percentage every fight. It's the same with Hopkins. Hopkins takes away something from you that you like to do and dominates. He's certainly not as dominant at this age as Floyd is, but nonetheless, they have that in common as well.
Floyd dissects and hypnotizes you at the same time. In fact, I coined a new phrase for him. hit Matthysse. You know, that jab was a thing of beauty tonight. 330 jabs tonight out of the 505 punches. Tremendous output of jabs for Floyd. More than any, you know, he varied his jab.
Yeah, and Floyd's game plan was brilliant. It was in response to what Canelo did, because I think Canelo came out trying to box a little more than perhaps he should have. And the only reason I say that is Canelo had one advantage in this fight, size. He went into the ring 15 pounds heavier than Mayweather, and if you don't at least rough your opponent up or get close to muscle him, use forearms, use shoulders, then what good is that 15-pound advantage?
I told Canelo before the fight that, in my opinion, a quick start was exigent, and I used the analogy of I don't know if you play pool.
I do, not great, but I'm okay.
A pool shark, if you don't get the break and he gets that cue stick, what he usually does is runs the table and you don't get in a shot. I knew this fight was over after 3 rounds.
Yeah, well, if there's a weakness that Floyd has, it's that he's not a great fighter in the first 2 or 3 rounds. I think Guerrero won maybe 2 out of the first 3. We know Zab Judah won at least 2 or 3 rounds, was ahead. Shane Mosley hurt Floyd early in their fight. So until Floyd figures you out, he's not that special a fighter, doesn't try to be a special fighter. Canelo didn't win. You know, maybe he won the 2nd round, I think, but he didn't start as fast as he should have.
Steve and I are in agreement. We're trying to figure out the next opponent for Floyd, and we've thought of 2. Both of them are named Klitschko. Who else is going to deal with the guy?
Well, you know, there's a price you pay when you're as dominant as Floyd is. And the price you pay is that your fights are not all that exciting. And I don't even care if we can find someone who can beat Floyd. I want to see someone who can test him and push him and get him out of his comfort zone so that he has to fight a little bit. Because these kind of performances, yeah, they're great for the purist. And you and I both appreciate great boxing, and I love watching them fight. But I wouldn't mind seeing a fight.
Yeah, you know, that D word, some drama, and drama not being created by the scorecards. C.J. Ross, she should be fired for that.
Well, there are people, not many, but there are people who would argue that C.J. Ross was correct in scoring 115-113 Bradley versus Pacquiao. I thought that was a terrible card. Now, I wasn't at the fight, so I'm not going to criticize as much as I would have if I had been at the fight. But that was a flag. That was a red flag going up. And tonight, to me, that's a worse card, this one. 114-114. She found a way to give Canelo Alvarez 6 rounds, Smitty. And come on, did he win 6 rounds?
No, but what about accountability? Nothing personal against any judge, but in any other sport, what would happen?
She wouldn't get big assignments anymore. And maybe she won't. Because, you know, I'm a firm believer in the fact that I believe Nevada has the best officials in boxing. They have the most big fights, so there's going to be the most controversy, which means their refs and judges are going to get called on the carpet sometimes. It happens. But I think they have the best judges, and they don't need her in big fights anymore.
One final thing, and I talked to Floyd before the fight about this and his father, and I think it showed, you know, you and I are kind of old school. We're for guys that stay active. I think the fact that he only had 4 months in between made him an even sharper fighter.
I agree. And, you know, you're old school and I'm old school. And I have to say this because the statistic boggles the mind. Floyd Mayweather fought twice this year for the first time since 2007. Sugar Ray Robinson fought Jake LaMotta twice in 3 weeks. And in between, remember, he was a welterweight fighting a middleweight. And in between, he flew to New York and fought a contender named Jackie Wilson. So that's why I consider Floyd Mayweather an all-time great. But he'll never be the greatest fighter in boxing.
And by the way, Floyd's had 45 total fights.
Yeah.
In 2 years of his career, there were 2 certain years that Ray Robinson had 39 fights
exactly.
in 2 years.
And we're not denigrating Floyd Mayweather. You can only measure a fighter against who he fights and the era he's in. But the point is the eras have changed, and that's why Ray Robinson was once, I believe, 131-1 with the 1 loss to LaMotta. That's why no one's ever going to top what he did.
Finally, what do you see next for Floyd?
Well, maybe I'm crazy, but I feel that if Devin Alexander and Amir Khan, they're going to fight in December. If Khan wins and looks good, I think he'll get the next shot next May against Floyd, and I actually give him a shot to trouble Floyd. I think he has a lot of the attributes Oscar De La Hoya had, which is that he's rangy, he's fast, very different kind of fighter than Canelo Alvarez, and I think that kind of boxer can give Floyd trouble.
And one note about Canelo, he probably will take more from this, if he watches the tape, take more from this than maybe any of the 42 wins.
No doubt about it. Hey, Canelo is very young. He's going to bounce back from this. He's lucky in that the 154-pound division has plenty of fights for him. He'll be back. He'll be a champion again. And who knows, maybe he'll be the last fighter Floyd fights in this 4-fight package, or maybe not. But I have no problem with his future. He's going to be fine.
Great to see you.
Great to see you, Smitty.
This card was built as the one. Obviously, the main event, Mayweather and Canelo, but the undercard, a lot of excitement with the co-main event, Lucas Matthysse and Danny Garcia, two of the best 140-pound champions in the world. Matthysse was a pretty big favorite to knock Garcia out with his overwhelming power, but it was not to be. A splendid exhibition of boxing by Garcia, who was the only one to score a knockdown. He did that in round number 11, and he wins a decision. We spoke to the champion. First off, congratulations on an awesome performance.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I went in there, stuck to the game plan, and I got the job done.
You did a fantastic job, a lot of subtle stuff, minimizing his power. How'd you do that?
I had to be smart. I had to go in there, keep my hands up, use my legs, box a little bit, bang a little bit, and I did everything I had to do.
You also had great focus during the fight. I could just see you picking and choosing shots, getting out of the way when you needed to. Even on the inside, you knew what side to be on. Great job of focus.
Yeah, I had it. That was the key to this fight. It was patience. He's a strong fighter, and if you get reckless, if you feel like you're losing the fight, you go out there and try to bang with him, then he'll get you. But I never gave him the chance.
You think that great amateur experience that you had came into play? I did a whole show with Andre Ward yesterday, and he was a great amateur. Floyd was a great amateur. How much of that tremendous amateur pedigree came into play?
It's very important because I faced South American fighters before in international tournaments, and I know what they bring to the table. They're aggressive, they're strong, and I face all kinds of fighters from all around the world. I face European fighters, guys from Australia, everywhere, Finland, South American fighters. So that amateur pedigree is very important. As you can see, the best pros have it.
When his eye closed up, did you feel then that you had taken over the fight?
Yeah, I knew I was starting to do damage, and I just had to step on the pedal.
What's next for Danny Garcia?
Man, I'm just going to get some time, let my body rest, let my brain rest, and stay in the gym, stay sharp, and we'll see.
Well, again, a fantastic performance. I picked you to lose the fight, but after about 4 or 5 rounds, I realized I was wrong.
No, there's no type of way. A lot of people counted me out.
Well, I didn't count you out, but I tell you what, that performance showed everybody how
no doubt.
fantastic
like I
you are.
said, you can never underestimate the champion.
Congratulations.
Undefeated champion. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Danny Garcia, you faced him. You faced Matthysse. Your thoughts on that fight? Were you surprised that Garcia won?
No. I was surprised at the fight. I thought it was gonna be a knockout. You know what I mean? I thought with those two guys like that, with the kind of power they possess and the way it's gonna action, somebody was gonna go to sleep. But they weathered the storm. One thing I did notice in the beginning of the fight was they both had a mutual respect for each other. Cause they didn't, because we thought these guys was gonna come out and, kitchen sinks and refrigerators, you know what I mean? But they came out with boxing ability, and then he came out using his jab and using circles and stuff like that. So, they put on a great night of boxing.
When will we see you back in the ring?
I'm trying to get in the ring. Well, I'm going to be back in the ring December 7th, back at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, my home. We're trying to get Paulie out. We're trying to dig Paulie out, but it's kind of a task right now. But nevertheless, it'll be somebody. It's going to be a beautiful showdown, a beautiful night of boxing once again.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Smitty.
So all in all, a great promotion. We'll see if it was record-shattering in terms of the pay-per-view numbers. But there is some disappointment, not with anything that had to do with any of the fights or the fighters, but in the main event, here we go again. C.J. Ross calling the fight a draw. I picked Canelo to win the fight, and I couldn't even give him one damn round. We cannot have this type of situation happening on boxing's biggest stage anymore. In any other sport, she would be fired. But it doesn't take away from the tremendous performance of Floyd Money Mayweather. Unbeaten, clearly the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and if there's any slippage, I'm not seeing it. We will catch up with Floyd at his gym when he takes me off punishment, and we'll get his thoughts on this fight, and in his next fight. Perhaps he needs to take on somebody named Klitschko. I don't see anybody else who can deal with him. It's been a great promotion, a great week. Reporting for Fight Now TV, I'm James Smith.